Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over a Joe Biden versus Mike Pence in 2024 election prediction. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, click that like button, comment down below any suggestions, and click that bell to receive notifications. So let's get into the video. So according to predict in betting odds, Democrats have a 54% share of winning the 2024 election. Republicans 47%. Libertarian Party at 2% and Green Party at 2%. As for the Republican candidates, Mike Pence is, trailing behind other candidates like Ted Cruz. He's at 6 cents per share behind Ted Cruz at 7, Nikki Haley at 9, Ron DeSantis at 12, and 21, and Donald Trump at 29. As for Democrats, Joe Biden is the most favored one at 41 cents per share. Kamala Harris at 39, Pete Buttigieg at 6, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at 6. So taking, Joe Biden, the most likely Democrat, and Mike Pence, not the most likely Republican. Despite being low in the betting odds, he's probably more likely than Ron DeSantis because he was the former vice president. He has a pretty big name, and he's a lot more popular than Donald Trump. Mike Pence has an approval rating of -4 to Donald Trump at -17. So definitely Mike Pence a lot more favored by the public than Donald Trump. I would like to go over my criteria. I'm using 270towin.com. And my criteria is 12% and over will be safe states, likely states which will be between 7 and 12, lean states will be between 2 and 7, and tilt states will be under 2 percentage points. So let's start off with the states for incumbent President Joe Biden. Start off by giving him the West Coast as well as Hawaii, California, his vice president's home state, which I think will still be his vice president. Most likely, Joe Biden will stay with Vice President Kamala Harris. Also going to give him Colorado, New Mexico, Virginia, and I don't, and Maine's first district, that has voted pretty significantly Democratic. So that gives incumbent President Joe Biden 209 electoral votes. As for Mike Pence, former Vice President Mike Pence, his safe states, Trump is not going to support Mike Pence through his campaign. I am assuming he would choose someone like Josh Hawley or another, sort of moderate Republican similar to him, sort of in the Trump base, but not fully pushing himself and pursuing a Trump Republican type candidate. Somebody who is a little more traditional than Donald Trump. So let's begin with the safe states. I also think, Missouri is going to be safe, as well as Indiana. Though I don't think Mississippi is going to be safe. I think that could be, a likely state. But, in terms of this video, I'm just going to characterize it as safe. South Carolina is not going to be safe. I think Utah could break into those safe margins. So that gives, Vice President Mike Pence, I think he can definitely improve on Donald Trump's number in Alaska. 112 electoral votes for Vice President Mike Pence, 209 for incumbent President Joe Biden. Oh, and characterize West Virginia. Sorry about that. So that gives them 116 to 209. Let's begin with the likely states for Joe Biden. I'm going to start off by giving him Minnesota, New Hampshire, and the overall state of Maine, as well as Nebraska's second district. That puts Joe Biden at 227 to Mike Pence at 115. Likely states for Mike Pence, South Carolina. And I think that's pretty much going to be it for Mike Pence. Likely states, just South Carolina. I don't think any other states are going to be likely, in the election. So lean states. We're going to move on to lean states for Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden has a pretty significant, area in the Rust Belt to be able to win over. Minnesota, definitely, still shifting to the right. But I still think it's going to be over 7 points for Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden's going to be able to improve on the number, because Mike Pence is not going to have that appeal in the Rust Belt. And without Donald Trump on the ballot, if Mike Pence was the candidate in 2016, he would have not won Wisconsin. He would have not won Michigan. He would have not won Pennsylvania. And that would have really given Hillary Clinton the presidency because, Mike Pence doesn't have that appeal, that Donald Trump has in the Rust Belt and other places. In 2016, Trump had a big appeal to Rust Belt voters. He just chose to vote for Donald Trump because he just wanted to vote for Donald Trump, because of his appeal, his campaign strategy. Mike Pence doesn't really have that, so I don't see him being able to win, the Rust Belt at all. So I'm going to characterize Michigan leads, Pennsylvania leads, and Wisconsin leads, and that gives Joe Biden 270 electoral votes and a re-election. So 125 for Mike Pence, 270 for Joe Biden. Joe Biden has already won the election, as well as Nevada. I think Nevada is going to be leans, and Arizona for Mike Pence. For Joe Biden. As for lean states for Mike Pence, we give him Iowa and Ohio. I don't think like I said, the Rust Belt, I sort of consider Iowa and Ohio, in the Rust Belt. They are shifting to the left. So I definitely would see them over 2 percentage points, but not on that Donald Trump 8 and 9 percentage points figure. I think they're going to be under 7, between 2 and 7 percentage points. He just doesn't have that appeal, and I don't think the African American turnout is going to come in huge numbers for somebody like Joe Biden, but I think he's not going to be having that appeal to voters in like Cincinnati and the suburbs. So I think he's probably not going to do as well as Donald Trump in both of those states. As well as Texas. I think Texas is going to be a lean state for Mike Pence. Joe Biden, did do pretty well, getting closer to Hillary Clinton's number. In 2016, we really saw the numbers in Texas. The Democrats really had hope after, Donald Trump won Texas by 9 points in 2016. They really thought the margin was shrinking. Even though Donald Trump won the presidency, and he improved 100 electoral votes from 206 to Mitt Romney to 306 for Donald Trump in 2016. His margin shrunk from 15 points for Mitt Romney to 9 points. Texas was one of the only areas in the country, that really shifted to the left between Mitt Romney and Donald Trump. Donald Trump did a lot better in the country, in every single state, than Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney just performed a bit. Mitt Romney did a lot better in Texas. He did a lot better in the Sun Belt, because the Sun Belt lost lots of support for Donald Trump. Because since 2016, we've been seeing the Sun Belt. We've seen the first parts of the Sun Belt shift to the left. It's been 5 years since that, and a lot of the Sun Belt has become closer and more competitive for the Democrats, which is pretty bad news for the Republicans, especially as the Rust Belt isn't moving in large numbers for them. I think Wisconsin is really the only state between Michigan and Pennsylvania, those 3 states, that is actually shifting to the right. I think Michigan is going to be, more of like, a leans Democratic state. I think it could go either way. If you see Governor Whitmer, she leads, by 10 points in the polls, and that's not really a state you consider, a swing state. Obviously Michigan has a tremendous Democratic history, voted for Barack Obama by 17 points in 2008. So does Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, but they've been shifting to the left. Joe Biden has lost that number tremendously from 2008 to 2008 to 2016. In an 8-year time frame, Michigan shifted 18 points to the right. Very large amounts. Pennsylvania around 12, Wisconsin around that same number. And so I gave all of those to Joe Biden. Also going to, give Mike Pence Maine 2nd District, probably not leans. I think it's going to be smaller than that, probably under 2 points. I think it could be around that 2-point area. I think it could possibly be a flip for Joe Biden, but I don't think. I think Mike Pence is going to be able to have that appeal. As for Georgia, I don't think Georgia, Mike Pence is going to have it really big. I think Georgia is going to be more competitive. Georgia is going to be more competitive than Arizona. Especially if you look at the Senate races, Georgia, and the presidential races was always been a little more competitive than Arizona. Even in 2016, it was less competitive, more started for the Republican candidate. Donald Trump did a bit better in Georgia than in Arizona 2 times, both in 2020 and in 2016. Even though in 2020 he lost the state by a very small amount, he lost it by a smaller amount than he did lose Arizona. So there it is, 303 for Joe Biden, 188 for Mike Pence. I'm going to give Mike Pence Maine's 2nd District, but I'm also going to give Joe Biden the seat of North Carolina, just decided by 1.7 per points, a very competitive state. It shrunk down from almost 4 points in 2016 and 2008, Barack Obama won the state of North Carolina. And I definitely think that North Carolina is, potentially can go to the Republicans. As for Florida, it's going to be a very hard state for me to decide in Florida because it's going to be tilt no matter what. But I just think Mike Pence is the vice president for Donald Trump. He has that, but he doesn't have that appeal to Florida. And I think definitely it is a swing state, despite it being right-leaning. For that reason, I'm going to give it to Joe Biden. Despite tilt being anything under 2 points, I definitely don't see Joe Biden getting anything close to 2 points in Florida. I don't know if I'm really underestimating Mike Pence's support. Comment down below how you think Florida would go, but I just think Joe Biden has the overall advantage in Florida, just because Mike Pence doesn't have that Trump appeal. Comment down below. So there's the final electoral map. 189 for Mike Pence, 349 electoral votes for Joe Biden. Really close, sort of a landslide election for Joe Biden. Mike Pence sort of got destroyed. He lost North Carolina and Florida. Margins, increased throughout, the Rust Belt as well. He just doesn't have that appeal that Donald Trump does. And for that, I think he will lose the election by a pretty big amount. 349 for Joe Biden, 189 for Mike Pence. Anyway, subscribe, comment down any suggestions, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.